Imagine this. It's the end of a long day. You're sitting alone in your room, scrolling through social media, feeling a mix of stress, disappointment, maybe even a little anger. You think about things you wish you'd done differently today, or people who might have let you down. We all feel this way sometimes, don't we? But now imagine an ancient philosopher sitting in his own quiet room. It's a different time and place. Maybe Rome, maybe Athens. But he too has had a long day, and he's reflecting on the same kinds of things, challenges, emotions, the behavior of others. But he's not feeling stressed or bitter. He's calm. He has a way to navigate life's ups and downs with peace and clarity. This is what the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers us. Today, we'll be exploring Stoicism, not just as a historical philosophy, but as a toolkit for modern living. Through the practices and ideas of this ancient way of thinking, we can find calm in chaos, strength in adversity, and focus in a world full of distractions. So let's dive in. What is Stoicism? To understand Stoicism, we need to travel back to ancient Greece, around 300 BCE. The philosopher Zeno of Citium founded the school after he was shipwrecked, losing everything he owned. In his journey to rebuild, he found solace in focusing on things within his control and letting go of those beyond it. This idea resonated so deeply that it became the cornerstone of Stoic thought. Imagine if, after a setback, you focused only on what you could change and let the rest go. How freeing would that feel? Zeno's teachings were taken further by figures like Epictetus, a former slave who found freedoms in mastering his own mind, and Seneca, a wealthy Roman who practiced simplicity despite his riches. And then, of course, there's Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor whose diary entries show a man grappling with power, loss, and change in surprisingly relatable ways. The core principles of Stoicism. The Stoics believed in a few core principles that guided their lives, and the first is the dichotomy of control. This principle is about recognizing what we can control and what we can't. Think about it. We often get frustrated by things outside our control, like other people's opinions, past mistakes, or unpredictable events. But the Stoics would say, focus only on what's within your control, your actions, your words, your effort. For example, if you're waiting in a traffic jam, getting frustrated won't make the cars move faster. But what if instead you chose to focus on your breathing or used the time to listen to something meaningful? Another principle is virtue as the highest good. To the Stoics, living well didn't mean achieving fame or wealth. It meant acting with integrity, kindness, courage, and wisdom. Seneca once said, "Virtue alone is sufficient for happiness." In our world, where success is often measured by material achievements, Stoicism reminds us that our inner character is the true measure of a fulfilling life. The Stoics also believed in living in accordance with nature. This doesn't mean hiking in the woods, although that's wonderful too. Instead, it means accepting the natural order of things, change, uncertainty, and our own mortality. Marcus Aurelius, who faced constant political turmoil, wrote about embracing each day's challenges as they were part of his life's design. He found freedom in this acceptance. The four cardinal virtues of Stoicism. The Stoics organized their principles around four cardinal virtues, which are as relevant today as they were back then. Wisdom is the virtue of practical knowledge, of knowing what's good, what's bad, and what's neither. Imagine you're dealing with a difficult colleague. Wisdom would mean understanding that you can't control their actions, but you can choose how to respond. It's about pausing to consider the best course, rather than reacting impulsively. Next is courage. Courage doesn't just mean heroic acts. It's about moral bravery. Think of the courage to speak up when you see something wrong, or the courage to stay true to your values when it's easier to compromise. The Stoics believed that without courage, none of the other virtues could stand. Then there's justice. For Stoics, justice meant fairness, treating others with respect, and contributing positively to society. We might see justice as standing up for someone who's being treated unfairly, or simply making sure we're fair and kind in our daily interactions. And finally, temperance. This is about self-control and moderation. Think about times when you've wanted something, a second helping of dessert, a late night on your phone, and though it's tempting, you know it's better not to overindulge. Temperance reminds us to find balance. Stoic practices and techniques for daily life. Now let's look at some practical Stoic techniques. One powerful practice is daily reflection. Every night, Stoics would reflect on their day, asking questions like, where did I act virtuously? And what could I have done differently? This practice, which Marcus Aurelius wrote about in his Meditations, can be incredibly grounding. Imagine sitting down each night to quietly look back on the day, celebrating small wins and learning from mistakes. Then there's negative visualization, imagining the worst-case scenario. This isn't about pessimism, it's about resilience. If you fear losing something, visualize it happening. See yourself losing it, and then appreciate that right now, you still have it. Epictetus taught his students to look at their loved ones and remember that nothing is guaranteed, not even life itself. When you do this, you're more grateful for what you have and less fearful of losing it. Another technique is voluntary discomfort. Seneca, despite his wealth, would periodically live as if he were poor, eating simple meals, wearing basic clothes. This practice builds resilience. It's like training yourself to endure discomfort so that, if hard times do come, you're mentally prepared. The Stoic concept of amor fati, or love of fate, is about embracing whatever happens. Imagine that the setbacks in your life are part of a larger design. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, how can I grow from this? Lastly, the view from above encourages us to look at life from a higher perspective. Picture yourself from a bird's eye view, seeing yourself in the broader world. It's a reminder that our individual struggles are part of something much bigger, helping us keep perspective. Real-life applications of Stoicism. These Stoic practices aren't just abstract ideas, they have real-life applications. In personal growth, Stoicism teaches us resilience. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, or you're facing rejection. Instead of seeing it as failure, Stoics would see it as a chance to grow, to build patience, and to focus on what they can improve next time. In career and productivity, Stoicism can help with stress management and focus. By focusing on what you can control, like doing your best and letting go of results, you'll find it easier to deal with work pressures. Instead of aiming for a promotion, focus on building your skills and being constant. The Stoics believed that external success would naturally follow. In relationships, Stoicism encourages understanding and patience. Instead of expecting others to change, Stoics believe in controlling only your reactions. If a friend disappoints you, Stoicism suggests that you can only control your response. This doesn't mean accepting mistreatment, but rather approaching situations with kindness and fairness. Critiques and misunderstandings of Stoicism. Now you may have heard that Stoicism is about suppressing emotions. But this is actually a common misunderstanding. Stoicism isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about not letting them control us. Emotions are natural, but the Stoics believed we could choose how we act on them. Some also critique Stoicism as being detached or cold. But Stoics actually cared deeply about humanity. Marcus Aurelius, for example, wrote about love and compassion for others. Stoicism is about feeling deeply, but acting wisely. As we wrap up, let's remember that Stoicism isn't a rigid set of rules. It's a flexible toolkit for life. It's about living with purpose, with resilience, and with calm. Stoicism reminds us that peace and contentment are found not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering ourselves. If there's one thing I'd encourage you to try, it's the practice of daily reflection. Tonight, as you wind down, think back on your day. Where did you live according to your values? Where did you fall short? Just 5 minutes of reflection can bring incredible clarity and peace. Thank you for joining me in exploring this ancient wisdom. May you find a bit more calm, a bit more strength, and maybe a bit more meaning in the days to come.